What is up, everybody? DJ Vincent, Fight for Recovery. So today's video is going to be a little special. I'm doing a story of my life, kind of a story about me. This is actually for my peer support class. We were told that we have to do a presentation about us, and so I'm going to do it in a YouTube video. I'm going to upload it when I get home, and everybody will be able to check it out tomorrow. Instead of getting up and talking in front of my class, I'll just be able to play my video. That's the way I decided to go about this for me. So this video is a story about me, a story about my past, my addiction, and things like that. I'm not going to get super in-depth in all of it. I think that most of us that are watching my videos are interested in Fight for Recovery at all, have a pretty good understanding of where addiction can take somebody. I want this video to be more of a visual, and I want you guys to see where my addiction took me, so that's why I'm filming it in the location that I'm filming it in. I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown though. So when I was young, I didn't really get in much trouble in school or anything. When I graduated, or before I graduated, I started training, started fighting. I started going places with that. I started traveling a little bit, doing some fighting all over. That was a big part of me and big part of what I did. And then I think life just happened, and I had friends around me that all started getting hooked on Oxycontins, and some of them were doing heroin and stuff. And me, just being young and stupid, just decided just to try it out. You know, some of my closest friends that were doing those things, so I just started doing it with them. Had no idea what I was getting myself into, what was going on. I didn't know about detoxes or withdrawing or any of that stuff. I knew that we were doing drugs and drugs are illegal. Didn't quite understand the severity of the illegalness, and you know, I just had no idea what I was getting into. And so before I knew it though, I had a problem. I was a full-blown addict at a really young age. Didn't take me very long. I started with Oxycontins, and then I went to heroin shortly after that, because heroin was much cheaper. It was beginning to get easier to find where I lived, and so yeah. And then I started off by smoking it, and then once again, not too long after that, I got into slamming it. I moved away a few times. I went to the military, came back. Every time I came back, I'd just come into the same places, do the same things over and over again. And of course, you know, I'd get the same result. I'd just be right back on drugs. And then it took a few years of being on drugs before I really got into trouble. First arrest I ever had actually was a raid. You know, I'd never been in trouble before, and then all of a sudden this door's getting booted in at a friend's house, and SWAT team's in there screaming at everybody, and I got a gun pointed at my head, and the shit's just insane. It's loud, it's crazy, your ears are ringing, like it's just nuts. That was my first arrest. I believe it was that one that my mom hadn't known, you know, because I didn't really talk to my family anytime I was using it. My parents didn't really know, and then my mom was working at a gas station at the time. Somebody came and set the newspaper up on the counter, and she went to go ring him up, looked at the newspaper, and there's my picture on the front page. That's how my mom found out that I was in a raid, was by looking at the newspaper and seeing her son on the cover had just been picked up in a raid for heroin. But it was just all downhill from there. It got crazy. I just lived this wild ass life. I just running all over the place, getting into fights, getting high every day. Just wake up every morning. That was my whole mission. I'm on my phone. I'm just looking for drugs, and it just kept spiraling over the last 10 years. It just got worse and worse and worse. And so, you know, it wasn't until the last like couple years that it got really bad, and that's where I'm filming, in the location I'm filming at. So like I said, I want to give you guys a visual. I want you guys to truly understand and get a better idea of where I was at in my life and where I'm at now. So actually, let's just go ahead and start walking. I'm taking my Monster. All right, getting out of the truck. So, like I said, just a lot of stupidness, a lot of being reckless when I was young. I think most of you, like I said, probably have an understanding of where someone who's young and on drugs, the way they would act and the things that they would do. So I don't really have to get super in-depth into those things, but not everybody has it the same as me. Not everybody goes about it the same way. Some people are able to do drugs and they still have a house and they still have a home to go to every day. And you know, I put myself in a position where I didn't have that. I have really good family. None of my family are on drugs. That was not an issue for me growing up. But you know, when I was getting high and I was being stupid, they weren't going to let me in their house, which is understandable. I would just steal their shit and leave. Then I had kids. Once I had kids, I moved to Tennessee and I was clean, which I was clean from heroin, but I'd be drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning and then go to work, and that was sobriety to me. So had my kids in Tennessee, moved back, and after a few months of being back in Havasu, once again talking to the same people, doing the same things, and I got right back into the same shit. And just from there, that's when it got the most out of control. My kids were living with my parents. I actually called my parents, told them that they need to come get the kids because I was in bad shape, and at that point I was on probation. I was already on the run from probation and knew that prison was in my near future, which that did happen. I did end up in prison. Did a short stint in prison, but that wasn't enough for me. That didn't bother me enough. But this shit just freaks me out just even being here. So I get out of prison and continue doing the same things, continue going back to my ex-wife and just repeatedly doing the same shit over and over again. And this is where it finally led me. So where I'm at right now is actually the tunnel I would go to when I had nowhere to stay. I wouldn't necessarily say that I lived here, but I had burned so many bridges and just done so many stupid things that I would just have nowhere to go. Baby mama would be, I don't even know where. My friends at this point, when I'm just like, hey man, I'm in a tunnel and I got nowhere to go, my friends that I was doing drugs with and stuff, they wouldn't message me back. They're like, well, that fucking sucks for DJ, so there was several nights. I actually have an arrest for an illegal camping charge because I was homeless and because of where my addiction took me, because of the choices that I made myself. But just this last year, so I've been like 7 months clean now. Just this last year is when things definitely took a turn for the worse, but also for the best. So I found myself staying in this tunnel quite a bit. Most of the time I wouldn't sleep. I was too high on meth to sleep, so it's not like I'd come under here to sleep, but I'd come under here, I'd sit down, and this is where I'd be all night. Next day, wake up, wasn't concerned about where I stayed, wasn't concerned about any of that stuff. I was concerned about how I was gonna get high. So I'd be right back on my phone. There's a grocery store right here, right outside of this wash, and I would just leave. I'd go into that grocery store, I'd steal food, and then there's a Starbucks in the same parking lot. I'd go to that Starbucks to use the Wi-Fi and be on the Wi-Fi to just, continue my search for drugs, and that's all I cared about. That's all I could focus on. My kids were with my parents at this point. Baby mama's out of nowhere. My life has just spiraled to this ultimate low, and I didn't know what to do. I was at a complete loss, and like I said, the drugs had just taken over, and that's all I could think about. That's all I could focus on. I was here. This was my home. This was my go-to. This was, I wouldn't be worried about trying to get clean. I just, at this point in my life, when I was down here, when I was at this point, it was just an ultimate low for me. And in my peer support class, we talk about hopelessness and how addicts feel hopelessness, and this is definitely where I felt most hopeless. I welcomed death at this point. I wasn't scared of overdosing. I wasn't scared of going out there and doing something stupid and something happening to me. I didn't care. I wanted to die at this point, because when this is what you have, the clothes that you're wearing, and this is what you go home to, that's why I talk about my goals and gratitudes. I'm happy that I was able to turn on water today and brush my teeth or do my hair, because I brought myself to the point where I didn't have any of that shit. I had nothing. I had literally the clothes I had on, some damn paraphernalia on me, and that was it. Some phone that I got from who knows where that only worked on Wi-Fi, so I had to be in somewhere with Wi-Fi to use it. So it was actually the last time I had been in this tunnel, last time I stayed here. I left here. I went to someone's house that's just kind of nearby. I was walking distance. I walked over there. They had some heroin. I got high with them, and noticed within a few hours of me getting high that something was really wrong. I was really sick. I was throwing up uncontrollably, and I couldn't get up. I couldn't move. It goes into the next day. I still couldn't move. I still couldn't get up, and I wasn't even trying to get high at that point. You know, I was so sick, I literally could not move, and I couldn't even worry about getting drugs. I couldn't even keep my eyes open long enough to focus on that. Finally gets to the point where I get a hold of my parents. I'm like, something's like seriously wrong with you. I need to get the fuck to the hospital because I feel like I'm gonna die. They drop me off at the emergency room. I go in thinking it's just, you know, just me mistreating my body, me just not doing something, and come to find out I have a bacteria infection. I have sepsis. Bacteria was growing in my blood, and that's what was making me so sick, and that's from being an IV user. And I think this is where the kind of turning point, not necessarily when I got there, but the turning point for me was definitely just this whole last year or so. I leave this tunnel, go get high, get really sick, end up in the hospital. I'm in the hospital for a week. Doctor comes in one day and tells me, you know, this is life-threatening. This is no joke. So on top of your addiction, and on top, because I was honest with the doctors, I told them what was going on. They're like, on top of you doing such a dangerous drug that you can overdose on, this infection that you have can take your life. And I remember at that point, just one little tear came down my face, and that was it. Because I wasn't really scared. I wasn't really too worried at that point. I was okay with it. You know, at 27 years old, I wanted to die. And like, I truly meant that, because once again, this was it. This is what I had. This is where I put myself. This is where addiction took me. This is where fucking heroin took me. You get worked up just even thinking about it, and just even being in here just sucks. I'm in the hospital. I got high every day in the hospital. I didn't care. You know, like I said, once again, the most hopeless and low and rock bottom I've ever felt in my life was being at this point. You know, if I got released from that hospital, you know where I'd go? I'd go to find drugs, and then I would have came back here. And I would have sat down right here, because it's dirt right there. So I'd wait until it turns into pavement. I'd sit down where it's pavement, you know, and I would just sit. That was it. I'd sit here and I'd stare at these walls. I'd stare at everything around me for hours. No Wi-Fi here, so I wasn't using my phone. And that'd be it. I think about everything. I think about my whole life, and just all I could think that would be best for me would be just to not be around anymore, and just go ahead and just end this fucking miserable life and not do this. So I'm in the hospital. I kind of checked myself out. They're like, well, we could send you. I'm like, later. I'm gone. You know, I'm checking myself out. Even if you guys aren't doing it, I'm not. I get out of jail, and a couple days later, I came back here a couple times, and then a couple days later, I'm walking somewhere with a couple other people, and somebody jumps out of their vehicle, rushes my friend, and goes to hit him, and I jump in, and we get into this big brawl in the middle of the street. Like I said, at this point, I'm reckless, I'm careless, I don't care what happens to me. I don't care if this guy pulls a gun and shoots me in the face, I just don't. So I find myself like stomping on this guy's head in the middle of the road, and I just didn't care. I was so just lost in my life, and just so hopeless and just miserable, and I just didn't care. End up taking off, running. Cops find me pretty damn fast. I get arrested. Once again, I go before Judge K. I see him once again for my 15th time, and he finally sentenced me to rehab. He's the one that said, all right, either you're doing 6 months in the county jail, which I've done enough stints in that stupid ass jail, like I was not wanting to do any more of that, or you can go to Marina Point. I didn't really know anything about Marina Point, didn't know anything about the rehab. I knew there was a rehab in Bullhead, but that was it. You know, I never took my services serious before. Even when I got out of prison and stuff, the classes I took at Southwest were just to get through it, just to satisfy the judge, and so that way they'd leave me alone. I guess I never to Marina Point, and that's where you guys know from my other videos that something just clicked for me, something changed, and now I'm at where I'm at today. You know, I can't be grateful enough. I have an amazing relationship. I have connection with my family again. I see my kids all the time. My kids come spend the night with me. I have this amazing life, and I'm still on this journey, and I'm still moving forward from here. I no longer have to come to this fucking tunnel and do any of this. I can't. I barely even made it to where I'm at. And so I just said I just can't be grateful enough for where I'm at today. I pulled up in my vehicle. I have my phone on this little tripod thing where I'm filming this video. So now I got through Marina Point. Everything was amazing. I learned a lot of stuff. I went to outpatient. I was really actively engaged. I put myself in a ton of classes. I did everything I could there, and now I'm at where I'm at today, which brings me to this RSS class with you guys. So you guys are gonna be sitting in class tomorrow watching this video, and yeah, so really, I can't express my gratitude enough. I can't say how happy I am. And when I say that there's light at the tunnel, literally, there is light at the end of this tunnel. And we can do whatever we want in this life. I am now, just from a few months ago, living in here, staying in here, to now I own Fight for Recovery. I have a clothing line. I have my YouTube channel. I have this amazing relationship with an amazing girlfriend. I'm really close to my parents again. I'm really close to my kids. Life doesn't have to be like this, and the reason why we're in these classes, in this RSS class, is to be able to help people that felt like me, that hopelessness, that just life's never going to get better, and they're just welcoming death, and they don't want to be around anymore. They just want to die at that point. And so I don't know where the future is going to take me. I don't know what's going to happen after this class. I have goals, I have ideas where I want to be, but I can't guarantee for sure. We don't know where life's going to take us. All we know is that it's just one day at a time, one moment at a time. I can't worry about all the what ifs and all these other things. I just got to focus on DJ and what DJ's doing now. But I really just wanted you guys to get a visual of my life and my story and where it took me and where I'm at now. So I think that's pretty much all I got. I'm really excited about these opportunities. I'm really glad to have been in a class with you guys. This was amazing. Chaz, thank you so much, man. You always teach me a lot. Every time I'm around you, you teach me something new, and I do just want to let you know that anytime I say the name Chaz Martinez, it makes someone smile. Anytime. So, yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Southwest Behavioral. And, yeah, I think that's all I got. So I'm going to go ahead and get the hell out of this damn tunnel now because this place just freaks me out. All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. And congratulations to everybody in my class, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future. And yeah, laters.